Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another Headlights Live. I am Paul Salmon, and today we've got some really exciting stuff for you. So last year was just a fantastic year. This year, not so much. Next year, based on everything that we've seen and what we're hearing, it's probably not going to be as good as last year. So for that, we've got all this training stuff, all of this sales training, January 30th, 31 in Indianapolis, all of this stuff that we need to tighten up. One of the things that we need to be really concerned about is getting all the information on training resources. So that's going to be our topic today, training resources. We're going to give you all this information that you may have already seen, but maybe you need to reiterate, all of that. So before we do any of that, we've got a couple of house cleaning stuff to do. So silver certification, you may have seen a million memos that came out about silver certification. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also have that as well. We've got about 53 agents or so who've been certified. And what that simply means is that we go through a process, not just you individually, but your agency goes through a process of steps on how to do things as best as possible. And you get to have that little decal on your email address. You get to blow it up on social media, all of that stuff. And if you're interested in being silver certified, you can email Sarah at Sarah_Kramer at wvlcorp.com, and she'll get you started. Another big housekeeping is Legacy List. You know, we've partnered with Matt Paxton. If you go to mylegacylist.com, /Wheaton, and complete the form that says be on the show, then you get a free decal, which you can use it whatever you want it to do. Now, I know a lot of you have customers that some are downsizing or right sizing, a little unique. They have artifacts or something like that. That's a great opportunity to have them on the show. So go to the site, fill out the show document, and get you a little decal so you can use and do whatever you want with it. So another big thing that we talk about all the time is we want your insight. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you have to say. We want to know your opinion. One way to do that is through the feedback lane. The number on the screen, I'm not going to read it out, but number on the screen, you call that number. And what you do is sometimes we'll have a question on that voicemail. You answer that question. That way you're kind of giving your opinion, but you're answering the question. And if for some reason we have enough of those or have time, we will feature this on one of these events. And that's a great way to get a little pub for your agency. Another way is the networking video. And what that simply is just get your smartphone, do a little video, no more than 2 minutes, can't be too long, and just say who you are, where you're located, something nice or something unique about your agency, and that way you get a little pub as well. And if we get enough of those, guess what? We'll feature you on here as well. And by the way, that's 30 to 60 seconds, not 2 minutes. Okay, so as we do every month, we acknowledge our drivers and our agents that we select. Drivers are the backbone of what we do, and this month we've selected 2 folks from Beacons and 2 folks from Wheaton for the October 2023 Drivers of the Month. For the Beacon side, we have Manuel Burnett, and Manuel is actually from Borman Moving and Storage, and he's earned his first Driver of the Month. Kudos to him. And also we have John Schroeder, who is with AMP in Nevada, California. He's earned his 5th Driver of the Month. So kudos to both of those gentlemen. And also for Wheaton brand, we have Elwood Hume. Elwood is of Mover Services in California. He's earned his 7th, Driver of the Month, and was also the Driver of the Year for 2021. And last but not least, Mark Bailey, Wheaton Driver of the Month for October. He's with our very own Wheaton Moving and Storage in lovely Indianapolis. He's earned his 3rd Driver of the Month. So if you see any of these gentlemen in your facility, walking down the street, going to Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, or whatever, just pat them on the back and say thank you for your service, and give them an extra bottle of water. So thank you, gentlemen, for being selected for Agent of the Month or Driver of the Month for October 2023. Now, we have more acknowledgements. Each month, we acknowledge 2 of our agents to be agents of the month. For Beacons, agent of the month for October 2023 is the Beacons Northwest. They're in Washington State. They have about 8 locations, I believe. They were also Beacons Agent of the Year for 2019. And I believe they won a bunch of Agent of the Month. But more importantly, they're a great organization, Washington State 2019 Agent of the Month. For Wheaton, we have Lake Country Moving and Storage in Waterloo, New York. They were also Agent of the Year for 2020, and they've won a ton of Agent of the Month as well. If you get an opportunity, reach out to these folks, give them a little kudos, because next month, they may have to reach out to you to give you kudos for being selected as Agent of the Month. So keep in mind, folks, also that if you have any questions, anything about what you hear today, I want you to type it in the chat box and we'll do our best to respond and to answer your questions. So today you're here to talk about training resources. Now it's a whole bunch of stuff here. Like I said, it's all exciting stuff that you may have seen, may not seen, but we have a subject matter expert here to share all of that with you. And that person, ladies and gentlemen, is Sarah Kramer. So Sarah, floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul. I want to take a moment to say congratulations to our drivers and agents of the month. You've worked hard and it's awesome to see you guys get recognized. For those who do not know me, put a face with a name. Hi, I'm Sarah Kramer. I'm the training and development specialist here at the Van Line. You've probably seen my name before on emails. You've probably given me a call. And if you haven't, definitely reach out. I'm here to help with all things Van Line. Today, we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to highlight some important QR codes for some awesome training resources that I personally believe that are underutilized. Next, we'll briefly talk about our Infinity program that the safety department with our van line has just started. Then we're going to talk about our newest guide that I just created called the Access Refresher Guide. And then we'll also briefly touch on some other training resources that I think you might enjoy. So without further ado, we're going to get started here. The first, we're going to talk about our QR codes. So here I have 4 QR codes for training resources that I personally believe are underutilized here at the Van Line. The first one is a video about creating access accounts. I get countless emails of how do I set this person up in access? I've set this person up in access. What do I do now? This video will walk you through step-by-step 1, how to create it. 2, what the most common forgotten step, how to accept it, and then what goes on in the back end on our end on how to create that account. So I definitely recommend viewing that video. Like I said, it walks you through step by step on how to do that. Pause it as you need, put it up on one screen, go through on the other, walking you through how to create an access account. But why am I saying that? Creating access accounts are very important if you want to become silver certified. Any agent that is interested in taking the course will have to create access accounts for users who may not have them. So if you've ever received a silver certification memo from me, you probably saw this video attached. I recommend just taking a look at it and using it for your advantage when creating access accounts. If you don't know about QR codes, here's a little brief tip. If you want to take out your phone, open your camera option and point it at the screen. You should be able to see a little link pop up. Thank you, Paul. You'll see a little link pop up. You click on it and it'll take you straight to the YouTube. So these are all playlists that are created on our YouTube account for you guys to watch. The next little QR code here will be navigating the operations tab, specifically the planning and the dispatch section. A lot of times we get questions on how do I see available tonnage? How do I look at where my driver is? This is using the operations tab is a great way to do both of those, specifically the planning and the dispatch. These videos, again, will walk you through step by step on what each and every little button is on each of those tabs. So it's a great refresher as well if you've used both of these tabs. So also remind yourself on, oh, I don't even use this button. What does this button do? Can this button help me create a different report, see different information, or maybe even locate more tonnage that you didn't know was available because you just selected a different button that you've never seen before or haven't thought about selecting in certain situations. So definitely check out those videos either as new knowledge or as a reminder. The next QR code is the mobile driver smart screen. Last year, about this time, I do believe Kevin Miller, did a little headlights over the mobile driver smart screen and what it had to offer for drivers. These are videos that Kevin did show. I get questions all the time, specifically from agents and even from drivers that say, hey, what is this mobile driver smart screen? I always send these videos out to them. So it's a great option. You can send these either the QR code, or you can specifically look them up using the QR code and send the links to your drivers and have them check it out. Looks like Jamie has dropped some of the URLs in the chat box, so definitely copy and paste those and even send them out to your drivers. The next QR code I have listed is the Sales and Marketing Workbook. We talked a little bit about this last headlights, and I guarantee we'll continue talking about it. It is a wonderful resource that Sales and Marketing creates every year with updated trends on marketing, tips for sales, a whole bunch of useful resources, guides. They even have worksheets in there for you guys to check out. This is a really quick way just to scan that QR code and have access to it as well. I wanted to point this out because we do have sales training coming up. So if you haven't considered signing up for sales training, please do that and do that soon to make sure that you guys have your spot. Other than that, that is all I have on some QR codes, but we're not done with all the training resources that we still have to offer. Are there any questions about the training resources that I have offered? Feel free to definitely drop them in the chat, and Jamie will make sure we address them as we go on. All right, next we're going to talk about the Infinity program a little bit. So I'm going to play a video here in a moment, but the Infinity program is a app that was released by the safety department for qualified drivers. That's the key point here. It's specifically designed for qualified drivers at the moment. There's more to come. To allow them to have training on the go in a mobile-friendly version. I do believe they might be using this for compliance as well. So it's definitely something to encourage your qualified drivers to check out when they have a moment. After the end of the video, we'll teach you on how to log on if they haven't already. You should have received a memo about this at the beginning of October, I do believe. For more information, stay tuned, because in January, we will also be hosting Headlights Live over this entire topic about the Infinity program. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play this 1 minute, very quick, I like to call it a hype video about the Infinity program here. I am going to throw the stab right back at Kevin, because we did show this at the partnership conference and he called me out because he asked for Thunderstruck and I could not provide because of copyright violation. So yes, I am the young Gen Z who did put the fun music on it that is not Thunderstruck. I'm sorry, Kevin. But without to continue on, in order for your drivers to log on, they will need to use that 4-digit agent number that you guys have, along with their 4-digit driver number. So there should be 8 total numbers. For example, like if your agent number is 0001 and your driver number is 1234 or 1234, yeah, you'll put them, all 8 of them, in the username. And then if this is your first time logging in, your password should be training with a capital T and the number 1. If I do encourage, if you do log in for the first time, have your driver reset that password for them to make sure that no one else has permissions to their account, obviously. So that is the Infinity program. Again, I'm going to encourage you guys to attend the January Headlights Live to learn even more about that that program for your qualified drivers. Okay, next we're going to move on to the Access Refresher Guide. So this is going to be the meat and potatoes of my presentation today. This guide was created for you guys as just a reminder during this slow time of what you can do in Access and how to properly use some things that we've noticed might be misused often or forgotten on occasion. I recommend just taking a look at this guide, downloading it. It's kind of fun to look at because it's not supposed to be as instructional as more as a reminder of how Access should operate. And we're going to talk today about a few topics. So we're going to just highlight using DCL, what is the other tab, talk about the estimate types, and I'm going to leave for your creative brains to kind of process the creating accounts section and the access features section. I do encourage you to download this at your convenience and look at it. There might be even pages you might want to print off and send to other people who are not on this call to take a look at as well. This Access Refresher Guide can be found in forms and manuals, and if you continue staying on throughout this presentation, I will show you exactly where in just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and talk about using DCL. So DCL stands for Day Certain Loading. It allows the booking agent or the booking agent to book a shipment with specific load dates that are agreed upon to the customer. If you've been around for a while, you probably already know that. So I'm telling you something that you don't already know. But I just wanted to remind you guys that DCL is a tariff charge, but it is discounted separately from the line haul. And we need to make sure that we're aware that when you discount it, you ensure that you charge DCL, your charge for DCL does still cover your labor and materials needed to provide that service. The agent who is selling DCL must ensure that you are capable of picking up that shipment from the residence. When I say that, it's also important to remember that, yes, the agent who is booking is responsible to make sure that they can do DCL, but the origin agent has the first right of refusal to perform. And in some situations, the driver will pick up directly, but that is something you need to work with your planner. That's not something we should just automatically assume like the driver's just picking up direct. Make sure you talk to your planner and work that out with your planner to make sure that the driver will be loading directly if there is the option to load directly. With that, it's also important to remember that the booking agent should add a note in the comments about what's going on with the DCL. I cannot stress enough, even today, please use the comments. I get questions about access or plugging something to access, and I go in to help them, and there's nothing from the booking agent in the comments at all about anything. The comment section is there to make your life easier and make sure that anybody working in the shipment is up to date on what's going on. So make sure that we are utilizing the comment section, even for the littlest things like customers requesting DCL because they're moving out of their home and they're closing on this date. Just a friendly reminder that it will help everybody who's working in that shipment. Also remember, if you're using DCL, make sure you select the DCL button, as you can see right here in the load point here. A lot of times you go through and you don't realize that you're going to use DCL, so it's loading from residence, and then all of a sudden you're going through and you forget that you need to put that load point as DCL so the driver knows where to pick it up. It's important that we do make sure we double check that and that the load point is registered as DCL if DCL is on the order. Next, we're kind of going to move on to the other tab. The important thing to remember about the other tab is it is not just a catch-all. The other tab has specific purposes. Just because it says other doesn't mean, oh, let's put everything and the kitchen sink inside the other tab. That's not how it works. So the other tab is used for advanced charges that will be supported by paid receipts or invoices. I'm going to let that sink in, and then I'm going to repeat it again. The other tab is used for advanced charges that will be supported with paid receipts or invoices. Now, there are times, specifically if you pay attention to the do put in other tab, like safes, high weights that are, or safes that have high weight, there is an origin fee and a destination fee. And of course, we don't have a receipt for the safe. So things like that are okay, but if it's not specifically laid out in the tariff that it needs to be put in the other tab, it's going to need a receipt or an invoice. I also want to point out the other tab is used for the MMS. If you put MMS on the order, make sure you click the MMS button. That's important to point out here too. I already pointed out the do put in the other tab. So of course, safes are okay if they're between 300 and 750 pounds, but we also put crating services and other third party. With the crating service, we only put the crating service if it's not on the tariff. If you want to put a crating service that is tariff-based, that actually goes under the packing tab. So keep that in mind. I do want to point out two very important ones on the do not put in the other tab. Day certain loading. We just talked about it. There's its own spot under the pricing, tariff, and valuation tab, and also making sure to change that load point. But day certain loading is on the tariff, so it doesn't need to go on the other tab at all. Also, labor charges. Labor charges have their own section in Access as well. Make sure that we're not putting labor charges in the other tab, but actually under the additional services tab. So again, definitely something to kind of look over, refresh yourself about the others tab, and go in, maybe even if you can see, there's little information dots here. You can go into more detail of what does the other tab consist of. If you look around this refresher guide, you'll actually see the information buttons pop up everywhere. So it's a great way to look for the tariff or through the agency manual of specific topics that we're talking about, which leads me right into the estimates types. So the next section is the estimate types. Again, we all know these if we're all sitting on this webinar. We have our non-binding, our firm binding, and our option binding. I'm really not going to go into full detail about these, but I did put, if you can see, you have a little handprint here with a finger. These mean reminders, just something I wanted you guys to feel reminded about when it comes to the specific estimate type. When you see the triangular warning symbol, it's things like caution, like you need to be aware of this when you select this as your estimate type. And the light bulb is just like a tip, just like, hey, tip, reminder, this is how this operates. So it's also a really nice guide to just print out this one page and give to maybe even newer salespeople or salespeople that don't have experience in our business, understanding what these estimate types are, because it's a great way to break down what they are really quickly and give a little bit of extra detail on how they operate. This next section I want to point out really quickly, this is other useful information that go along with the estimates types, specifically binding estimates. So services that may be charged to the customer in addition to binding are listed out here, and services that are not bound listed out here. Not bound even on firm binding estimates. So this guide, as you can see, it doesn't cover everything, but it covers major highlights. We talk about protesting weight if need be. And down here, talking about the using option binding. If you're using option binding, we're seeing situations where you accidentally hit save and not calculate when you're comparing. It's important that if the total actual charge is lower than the estimated charge, you then hit save. But if it's not, you could just use the calculate button and it doesn't save anything. You can hit the undo. But once you hit save, you'd have to go back and re-enter everything as it would be, and it just kind of gets a confusing mess. There are more pages within this Access Refresher Guide that I encourage you guys to check out. Just print it, take a look at it. Don't even print it. You can use it as a PDF version because it's a lot of color, but I figured the color would be kind of fun. It's just highlights some important things that I think we needed to be reminded of in Access every now and again. So it's not as a punishment or anything, so don't see it like that, but use it as we have some slow time. Maybe I can learn a skill that I totally forgot or learn a skill that I haven't done before. When it comes to finding this, you can actually find it if you look here in Forms and Manuals. This Forms and Manuals section has the document section and the training resources. You'll be able to find the Access Refresher Guide in the Access User section. It looks like we have a wonderful poll popping up here. Thank you, Jamie. It asks about the training toolbox section. And when is the last time you assigned a team member a course? These are wonderful, wonderful questions here. I'll give you guys a moment to answer those as we talk about the Forms and Manuals section. If you haven't heard me say it once, you'll hear me say it twice, a million times. Have you checked forms and manuals, or it's located here in forms and manuals? This is what that screen does look like. In this document section, I do want to point out the sales and marketing links here. You can find the sales and marketing workbook in this link listed right here. It looks something like this when you're opening it up. It divides it into whatever brand you are. Also, recordings of these lovely headlights live. If you hear something that you resonated with or want to revisit, it's always a good idea to check these recordings of the headlights live. But if you open up the Beacon sales and marketing assets, you'll open it up to a box folder. This box folder, you don't have to have a login or anything, but you can use any of the videos, guidelines, infographics, photos in here for any of your marketing needs. So it's an awesome resource for you that has a lot of already created work that you guys have right at your fingertips. Sales and marketing do a wonderful job making sure that you have all of those assets. All right. Moving on to other training resources. In forms and manuals, there is a section that specifically points out training resources. If you're a newer agent, I recommend going into the new agent resource. It pulls out guides and training, different training things that might be useful for you as a new agent. Agents that are already existing, definitely check it out because it's the guides that are probably going to be the most used. The section I enjoy the most is this Access User Guide, where you can also find the Access Refresher Guide in. I'll show you that here in a minute. When you hit the Access User Guides, it shows up in a section that looks something like this. There are a bunch of downloadable PDFs in alphabetical order. So it allows you to look at all your access stuff, your bill of lading stuff, and so on and so forth. I do want to pull out a couple key ones here. One, the Access Refresher Guide right there, second from the top. That is what I presented today and chit-chatted about, the very colorful, fun document right there. But moving a little bit further down in the E section, there's the Estimates and Order User Guide. Believe it or not, but this guide it's lengthy, but it will walk you through step by step from creating an estimate, how to create an estimate, to promoting an estimate, to submitting an order and getting an active order status. It even goes further on to talk about getting an electronic signature for an estimate, getting an electronic signature for a bill of lading. It is the entire process. For the new agents, what I did in 2 days, this is a step-by-step guide on those orientation on how to do it. So it's definitely something to look at, check out, or even if you have new employees, hey, here's this PDF, check it out, because it'll walk you through the entire process of creating an estimate and order. Along with that is the subscription control event guide and notification guide right underneath it. This guide will walk you through on how to subscribe to emails. So important emails, like if your lead gets offered to you, if you have a CPU on an order, things like that. You can subscribe and unsubscribe from the things that you may not need or need. The subscription notification guide will break down all of the control events that are available to you and tell you exactly what they mean, what they don't mean, and what you're going to receive when you do sign up for them. So definitely something to take a look at. If you're not familiar with the mobile survey option, there's a guide that shows you step-by-step on how to use the mobile survey. There's also in the training toolbox that will walk you through step-by-step on what the mobile survey is like and to use. I think April and Kelly, she used to work for us, have created a step-by-step on what it would actually be like to walk into a customer's home and use the mobile survey. So it's a wonderful training course, and that can be found in the training toolbox. But how do you find that, you're asking? I'm going to verbally walk you through this video on what the training toolbox looks like. Oh, we got our polls back, Jamie, didn't we? So when is the last time you took a look at the training toolbox courses? 11% said last week, 22 said last month, last quarter. That's actually pretty good as we're going on. Mine just went away. I will say I see who accesses the training toolbox. 44% said last year, and I'm going to say that's pretty accurate. I see probably a handful of the names over and over and over again. When you guys sign up for the silver certification, I can actually see the last time you logged into your toolbox, and it kind of hurts my feelings to see how many you guys really haven't been in there in 16 months. It's astonishing to me because there's so many wonderful resources. Not all of them I've created, but there's so many different resources that are in the toolbox and available to you guys. So this is kind of what your toolbox looks like when you hit that toolbox notification, like I showed on the last screen here at the top. Maybe if it'll let me go back. Okay, maybe not. You'll be able to hit the toolbox tab, and inside the toolbox, it'll open to a screen like this. This is your metrics. You can see things to do, things are overdue, completed. You start scrolling down, it'll show you the trainings that you haven't started yet, things that are in progress, things that are overdue and completed. If you can't find one, check the other tabs because maybe they're in there. Because once you start a course, it continues on. I encourage you to also scroll down and look at the recently viewed. Check out the news section. A lot of people didn't realize we had removed the JJ Keller courses from the toolbox, so those are no longer in there. So those are no longer in there, but if you actually read the news section, it was listed there for almost a month, maybe even a month and a half, that they were no longer going to be in the toolbox. The next section here, if I'm going to go back just a little bit, is the content library. So under the content library located at the top here, it lists out all the courses that are available to you today. You could just log on. If you wanted to learn more about anything, you could either type it in that search bar up there, or you can go to the left-hand side where you see the topic section. You can click on any kind of topic that pertains to you or you want to learn more about. Once you hit enter, you can see it pops up here, and I can see sales. If I type it in, or I could go over the topics, and then all the sales courses will pop up for you. Anything that's pertaining to sales. If you want to do sales and move management, you could click on the two courses. Now, anything that has move management or sales in it for you, also available right there. It's a great way just to kind of refreshen things, especially as we're kind of slow, get an idea of things that are going on. A big one I think is way underutilized is that document preparation. It will walk you through how to fill out any kind of paperwork that the van line uses step by step. It'll tell you how to fill it out and what it looks like and what it should look like. This is all available to you guys in the toolbox for technically free. Right at the tips of your fingers at any point in time. So it's definitely a really great resource for you as we are headed slow. If you're not sure how to use the toolbox, guess what? If you check forms and manuals, there's a guide for that. If I haven't said it once, I told you, you'd hear me say it a million times. There's a guide that will walk you through step by step on how to navigate the toolbox, how to open the toolbox, and use the toolbox as well. Other than that, I'm open for any and all questions that you may have.
Good. Well, thank you, Sarah. Excellent job. Excellent job. Let me go through and see if we have some questions. Question for you, Sarah. If I wanted to assign a course to a team member, what's the process for that or the procedure?
One, please know what course you're looking for. That is very important. Go into the content library and specifically give me the title of the course. I don't want somebody saying, hey, will you give me everything driver related? Okay, do you want all 20 courses that are driver related? Because I will assign all 20 courses. But what I need you to do is go to the content library, give me the title of the course, the name of the person you want to assign to, just send me a quick email and I'm happy to assign that to them. Or you can physically just say, hey, go to the content library, search this and take this course. Other than that, I can physically assign it to them as well if you just give me a name and the course title.
So thanks, Sarah. Now, just based on the last poll that we just did that Sarah talked about, 61% of us has never used the training toolbox. I think we have a golden opportunity to change that because I'm telling you, there's a ton of resources. I even go in there sometimes and look around. So, I mean, it's just a ton of resources that is extremely helpful. So 61% is, sorry, folks, pretty embarrassing, but but we can lower that the next time. We'll do another poll just like this next time and see if that changes. All right, so let me see if we have some more questions here. Okay, there's another poll. So while I'm looking for questions, you can complete that poll. Sales training section poll. Let's see here. Okay, I don't see any more questions in here unless I missed it. Okay, let's see. Give me a second here.
We have one question from James Martinez. Sarah, so if selecting DCL, are you supposed to change the address to the warehouse?
Nope, that's why you have that load point there. That's why that load point is very important, and it's easy to forget because it's hidden under the customer tab, which is kind of an interesting place for it. But the estimate won't allow you to continue on until you collect some kind of load point. So whether it's residence, but if DCL is selected, just make sure to select DCL and you can put the customer's origin and destination addresses in. So.
Okay, I have another question. Thanks, sir. Another question. Says, my driver can't navigate the driver app after, wait. Okay, my driver cannot navigate the driver app after watching videos. Who can help?
Well, of course, I would probably do the same exact thing you do, but it's easier for you to probably actually watch the videos yourself, see if you can navigate it a little bit based off the videos, and then help him, aid him as you're sitting there with him going through it. What does this look like? What does this do? Well, according to the video, it should be doing this. And if it's not doing what it says it's supposed to be doing, that's an email to Access Help. But most of the time it is operating the way it is. My recommendation is to scan that QR code or copy those links that Jamie put in the chat, watch those videos for yourself and have the driver come in, sit down with them, navigate them through it as you guys navigate the process of understanding the app together. That'll also help you guys better understand what the drivers go through too. So my recommendation, if they've watched the videos and still don't understand, maybe try to take a look at the videos yourself and help guide them through that.
Okay, good. Let's see. Let me just make sure before I move on. Did I miss anything, Jamie?
I've got one here from Sue. Sue says, so for the driver mobile screen, is there a login for the agent to be able to see all their agency driver screens?
Not for the mobile driver smart screen. Of course, you can use the dispatch tab and see your drivers. I recommend watching the dispatch video on navigating the operations tab if you want to know more about that. But there, at this moment, there's no way specifically for the agent, because if the agent uses the mobile driver smart screen or uses the logo to try to get to the mobile driver smart screen, they're actually going to get taken to mobile survey. Only qualified drivers or registered drivers are going to have the mobile driver smart screen. The really best way is, again, to watch the videos to see that, but see what goes on in that. You really don't have, there's nothing to control. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking to have control over. But if the driver is having issues, definitely feel free to contact, if it's an IT issue, Access Help, or I can help navigate the understanding of the driver smart screen.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Do you see anything else, Jamie? Nothing else?
Nope, I think that's all. But Sarah, would you mind just real fast, because I had 5 or 6 people said that they wanted to download that Access user guide. So remind us one more time how to get to that.
Let's see if I can get to it real quick. Okay, so you guys are going to go to Forms and Manuals. So you'll go to Forms and Manuals. Under the Training Resource section, hit the Access User Guides. Once you hit the Access User Guides, a whole list of PDFs will pop up and should be second from the top, Access Refresher Guide.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sarah. Okay, so I don't think there are any more questions, but before we go, we've got a couple of things to talk about. So we've only mentioned sales training like a lot of times already, but we'll mention it again, January 30th and 30 and 31st in lovely Carmel, Indiana, sales training. At this sales training, as always, we're going to have external speakers. We're going to have folks with 0 years of experience, folks with many years of experience. We're going to knowledge share. We're going to talk about networking, lead acquisition, all of those things. So, and more importantly, we're going to have a little fun doing all of that. So it's, if you haven't signed up, you need to sign up today because the link's on the screen. So get in and sign up. And also we're going to release the 2024 Sales and Marketing Workbook Sarah mentioned earlier. This is another great training tool, information tool that's so important. Answers a lot of questions as it relates to the sales process, marketing, website, all of that. Great resource for your agency, your organization. So again, sales training, January 30, 31. I think I said that now 15 times, but I'll probably say it one more time. The next headlights will be December 13th, and that we're going to cover this fantastic NASM packing program that we came up with. I think there's a few people involved with that, Todd and April and Jamie and everybody else involved, but we're going to talk about that. You may not want to miss that. It's going to be December 13th at the same time. January 17th, next Headlights Live, first one for the year. The Infinity Program app that Sarah talked about earlier, as she mentioned, it's all going to be revealed, and we're going to go through all of that with you. So mark that on your calendar as well. We will notify you, but mark it on your calendar. February 28th, 29th in Las Vegas, Bandline Summit and Gala Awards. Mark that on your calendar. You have to be there. That's when we announce Agent of the Year. So you don't want to miss that. Plus there's all this camaraderie and all this fun and all this stuff. So Las Vegas, February 28th, 29th, and March 4th through the 6th, 2024, the ATA annual conference meeting will be in New Orleans, as they say. So again, sales training, January 30th and 31.
And Paul, if I can interrupt you real fast,
Yeah.
Remember, we did send out a memo, I think it was last week, saying that our individual sales awards from now on are going to be given out at Sales Training Summit. So you will, if you're coming to Gala expecting to be recognized for President's Club, Leaders Club, or Achievers Club, you will have missed it. So
Yeah.
please sign up for January 31st. That's the date that we're doing the awards dinner for the salespeople.
Good. Thank you, Jamie. And just to add to that too, is this sales conference is going to be like salespeople's conference. Sales Training Summit is going to be salespeople's conference. So keep that in mind as well. So if you want your award and you want to be recognized, we'll take a picture of you and all that stuff. You got to be there. What else am I missing here? I think we've got everything. Anyway, before I leave, on behalf of myself, as always, everyone involved with this production and the Van Line, have a good rest of the day, have a great weekend, have a fantastic Thanksgiving, and try not to eat too much. So we'll see you next month.